Hello, my name is Alan Jones and I welcome you to another life story coming to you from Life Stories Worldwide. We bring you stories from different countries, different parts of the world, and these stories go out across the world. We bring you stories of people who've gone through all types of challenges, but how those lives have been transformed. Some are real bad things they've gone through, some are just ordinary lives, but they all have a story to tell. And we have a story today from Meliza Farndell. Meliza was originally from South Africa, but she's now in Preston, Lancashire. We are live on StreamYard, Facebook, YouTube, and you can also watch us on our website, Lifestoriesworldwide.com. As I say, our guest is Meliza Farndell. Meliza is an accomplished author and director of Paper Crown Media Ltd. And Meliza has a desire for empowering individuals to break free from limiting beliefs and to find the real meaning and purpose of their lives. And so it's great to have Meliza here, and I invite you, Meliza, now to share your story. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alan. It's absolutely wonderful to be here with everyone. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come here on Life Stories Worldwide. I love what you do to showcase the different stories of all the people that you connect with. I think there's so much power in stories, and I just love hearing people's stories. Even Jesus himself taught with parables and stories, so there's so much power in it. And I just really pray that my story can touch someone's heart today. Maybe there's something you need today, just something that you need to hear. And I really pray that God will connect with you today through my story as well. As Alan said, my name is Meliza Farndell. I'm a wife to Clinton, and we've been married for nearly 20 years. I'm mum to two gorgeous teenagers. My son Aiden is 18 and my daughter Zoe is 15. I love writing and creating stories. I am a nonfiction as well as children's book author. And I'm also the director of Paper Crown Media. It's a publishing company that is only an infant. It started, founded this company at the beginning of last year. And I'm going to tonight just share my story with you and share also how I came to be a steward of people's stories. So my story really began in a small town in the Eastern Cape. I was born in Uitenhage, and we moved to Johannesburg when I was 5 years old. My dad felt a call from God to go into ministry, and he moved us down to Johannesburg when I was 5, and I watched him be a minister and a pastor at a church, and I saw him have very important meetings in his study with different people. And one day I called him into his office. I was 6 years old at the time, and I asked him to take a seat behind his desk, and I very officially announced that I wanted to give my heart to Jesus. And my dad prayed with me, and I was born into God's kingdom on that day. I became a Christian. But when I was 7 years old, I suffered a traumatic event at the hands of an older boy, where my dad was preaching, and we were staying at their house. And because of this trauma, it ushered a lot of guilt and shame into my little heart. And I really didn't know how to process it. I didn't tell a single soul what had happened to me until I was in my late teens, early 20s. That was the first time I really opened up and shared what was happening to me, or what had happened to me. And my heart was just completely filled with guilt and shame. I felt that God was disappointed with me, that he didn't really want anything to do with me. And every single time I would hear somebody talk about God, I would just beg him to forgive me, because I just felt so very, very bad about myself. And all this guilt and shame that I was trying to process, had all sorts of negative effects on me as I was growing up. I started developing a really difficult relationship with body image. I developed food issues and addictions. I really suffered with my mental health. I remember starting my very first diet when I was 12 years old, and very soon realized that I couldn't be good at that, at eating healthily. And then I started taking diet pills and had injections, and I tried everything, every diet, every exercise equipment, everything I could try and find to fix what was wrong with me on the outside. And I didn't realize at that young age, and even as I got older, that the problem really wasn't with what was happening on the outside, that there was a problem happening in my heart, and it was affecting my circumstances and the way I viewed life and my relationships. It had so many bad impacts on all sorts of things in my life. And the harder I tried to actually fix myself, the worse it got. And I fell into a very, very deep depression. And I was crying out to God to help me. As I grew up, being a child of a pastor who was preaching and teaching about God's grace and God's love, I knew that God was the answer to my problems, but I didn't know how to connect with him because I was so full of guilt and shame. But I also knew that he was the only answer, because I had tried everything. I went to therapy, I had counseling, but more than that, I was really seeking God himself. I wanted to connect with him. So I would read my Bible, I would pray, and I would read every book, every Christian book. And I read loads of testimonies of people who found healing and deliverance and help in their relationship with God. So I knew that there was more. And I was just so desperate to connect with God. And things would work for a little bit. I would get a little bit relief, but I would never find total freedom from all this battle that was happening inside my heart and all of these struggles that I was going through. I also wanted to please God. I was doing everything to be a good person. I felt like if I could just be good enough, then God would see me and he would notice me and he would come and sweep in and rescue me and help me and heal my heart. But no matter how hard I tried to be good, I just never felt like it was good enough. So I studied really hard. I was a very good girl. I never wanted to be in trouble. And I was always hoping to please everybody around me, please God and please my parents and please my friends. And it just really became a mission of performing and trying to be good enough and always feeling like I was falling short. So I carried all of this stuff into my adult life as well. I learned how to cope with life. I learned how to survive. But I also knew from all the stories that I've heard and from the testimonies that I've read, and even from the stories that I've read about in the Bible, that I knew there was more. I knew that there was a place of freedom. There was a place of complete healing, and that I could live in peace. And so I never stopped searching. When I was 23, I just had a moment. I was already, I finished school, I'd gone to university, and I started working as soon as I finished my degree. And one day I just sat behind my desk and I realized that I had never taken the time to think about what I really wanted to do. And I had this deep desire to travel and see the world. So at the age of 23, I decided that I was going to go abroad, and the first opportunity that came my way was teaching English in Taiwan. And it's okay if you think that's a bit funny, because English is not my first language. As you can hear, my mother tongue is Afrikaans, and I have this heavy accent, but off I went to Taiwan to go and teach English, and I just loved it. I love traveling. I love different cultures and love learning about different places in the world. I love traveling. But it was quite an eye-opening year, learning or living in a different culture. So I didn't think I would travel again after that. It was a little bit, I suffered from a little bit of culture shock. So I went back to South Africa, but only for 3 months, and the travel bug bit me again, and I went to the United Kingdom. I lived in London for 1.5 years, and that's where I met my husband. However, we were only friends, and I moved back to Johannesburg when my visa ran out, and my husband emailed me every single day. So for 3 years, he sent me emails, and I ended up moving back to the United Kingdom in May 2005. And then we got married in January 2006, and we had our first baby. My son Aiden came in May 2007, and my daughter was born in January 2010. So it happened relatively quickly, but I was now a new mum with a small family, a big responsibility, living on the other side of the world, not a lot of family support. And I really felt or experienced a big setback at that time in terms of my mental health. Everything became really difficult to manage. And I reached a point of absolute desperation, because all of that stuff that was happening in my heart was still under the surface. It was still there, and it was still messing with my mind and with my heart. So I was busy getting ready for the day one morning, and I was just wrestling internally with all of this stuff. And my husband, I was trying to unpack what was going on in my head, and I said to him, I give up. I completely give up on God. I believe that God exists, but I don't believe that he cares or that he knows what I'm going through. And my husband was very wise. He didn't say anything. He just allowed me to really feel all those feelings. And I knew that he wanted to say something, but he just allowed me to feel the depth of the pain I was experiencing at the moment. And then something truly miraculous happened. A few days after that conversation with him, as I put my daughter down to have a nap one afternoon, my husband suggested that I take my son to go and see the new Disney movie. It was 2010, and Tangled, the Disney movie Tangled, had just come out. And I very reluctantly said yes. I would go out and take my son, and we went to see the movie. My son was 3 at the time. So we got our popcorn and walked into the movie theater. And as I walked into the cinema, I could just sense God's presence in that theater. I started crying from the very beginning that movie started. And it was like God was opening the eyes of my heart. And for the first time, I could see what was happening behind the scenes of my life. I spent so much time searching for him and learning all of these different things in the Bible. And I had a lot of concepts and theories and theology. I knew about God. I knew that the Bible said he was good, but I didn't experience his goodness.